Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 139, the We Ate Briar edition.
Again.
Hey.
Again, yeah. He's to the point where he can't talk anymore because we cannibalized him. It's getting dark.
Damn.
It's a dark Monday. Whoo. How you guys doing?
That means if he shows up next week, does that mean that we like
resurrection spell?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's how we have a continuous supply of briar meat. We keep resurrecting him.
Obviously.
Yeah.
We wouldn't eat him if we didn't already create something where we could keep eating him.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. We are
interesting.
We're business-minded folks. We have this.
So I feel like this enhanced technology should be applied to like many other things instead. It would be like apply this technology to, I don't know, generating money or something. That would be instead. It's like, well, we're just going to generate
resurrecting money from the ground.
Yeah, imagine that.
Wouldn't money have to be organic, like living material first?
But it comes from paper, which comes from trees, which was an organic thing before, right?
Interesting loophole right there.
Yeah,
Interesting
loophole.
Yeah.
See, they say money doesn't grow on trees, but money is trees. Money
unless you're in
trees.
Canada, where it's plastic, right?
Pigskin.
Is it?
Pigskin?
It's not England.
That'd be even easier if it's pigskin. Then you really could resurrect
There's
it.
something made from pig resin, pig something.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd have to Google that. British money, pig.
True.
I think modern Canadian cash is plastic.
These countries also have animal fat in them. Okay, so the UK is one of them. That's where I first heard about it.
Okay, pigskin.
Pigskin.
Wait, is this
Other
the original term of
countries?
the pigskin?
Malaysia, Nigeria, and Chile
Interesting.
use
It's funny because all the money like in the UK has that like plasticky coating, but I always just assumed it was paper with like a coating on it. Like
it's just pig fat.
So genuinely interesting question, and I mean to anyone watching this, I mean no shade. This is not me having a dig at vegans. Vegans are great. All my friends are vegans, but you know how sometimes people that are very specifically vegan, they'll be like, some people are just like, I won't eat meat. It's like that's fine, but some people get like
anything
related. They're like, I won't have leather trousers. I won't have soap that has like animal products in.
Does that mean no honey because it's cruelty to the bees?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So if somebody is that. Like maybe vegans can answer this. Like if somebody is like that, and you know that the money is pig fat, are you not gonna have cash?
So this article said that the Bank of England admitted that traces of tallow, which is derived from animal fat, can be found in the new British £5 note. And then this prompted an immediate response from vegetarians and vegans because they're being like, you can't just avoid using the £5 note. Right. So it's like you're technically kind of forcing people to use something that they don't want to. Whereas like soap, you can choose to have vegan or cruelty free soap. But if it's something like money, like you kind of have to use the money.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened from here on. I don't know if it like changed because it's also like Hindus and Sikhs and other people who don't want to handle like
pig fat
animal derived things. Yeah, pig specifically. Pig specifically caused a bit of a problem for quite a few people. So, yeah.
Do you reckon if you lick the £5 note, it will taste like pork scratchings?
What is tallow?
I don't want to test it though, only because like
that's a TikTok waiting to happen.
It is, and I feel like there'll be lots of money in it. But given that money gets passed around in many hands, I feel like that's a one-stop shop to getting the.
There's no disease whatsoever on money. It's completely safe to consume.
Tallow is the fat of cattle and sheep that surrounds the animal's organs. So it would taste like
organy fat
juice.
Juice.
Yeah.
It's probably good that it doesn't taste like pork scratchings, because otherwise, like people would just be eating it left, right, and center.
Do you think they'd be willing to put in briar tallow if we resurrected enough briars?
That would be the DCP money, I think, if we made our own island.
We're printing 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s, and an occasional 100. It'll be a special edition for that one. That
I will say I don't recommend licking money in general, but especially not during a pandemic. Just an idea.
Yes,
why
definitely
not,
do that.
You don't want to
You know, on Thursday we were derailed by Nutbush, and now we're derailed by Animal Fat Money.
I can't believe.
You know what it'll be, right?
I did not know that was a real song. It's called Nutbush City Limits.
Either. And I know the song. I listened to it and I was like, this sounds familiar. Yeah.
I didn't even know the song. I was like, wow.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know Nutbush City Limits. What a crazy name.
Have you ever had those packs of Grays, like, you know, that the like healthy food snacks and stuff like that?
Sure.
Grays. I've had healthy food snacks.
Yeah.
It's normally got like things like, it's got like beans and peanuts and like random different things like that, or like sometimes like corn bits and stuff in. But they've done like a veggie power one, which is like edamame beans and nuts and stuff. On the front it says nut power. I'm like, okay.
Grab a bag of nut power while you're listening to Nutbush City Limits.
I tuned into Mylan's stream where he was looking at a TikTok of a woman doing the Nutbush.
Yeah. You get taken down for inappropriate content?
It should. Although TikTok has babies twerking, so you know, who knows? TikTok.
Wild.
So
that's what I was doing this weekend. I was nutbushing.
Nutbushing, nice.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Yeah.
And consuming pork money.
Yes.
Maybe that'll be the new post. There was a post like a while ago where it's like, millennials can't afford to buy their own houses because they're spending too much money on Starbucks and avocados.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe they'll be like, now millennials can't
lessons.
because they took their mortgage and they licked their £5 notes. They have no money left.
Yeah. They ate their cash.
Well, millennials are vegans, so that can't happen. That's where all the avocados come from. Yeah.
Oh, that's why they can't buy the house, well, because they can't have the £5 notes because
they can't have the they don't have any money because they can't have the £5 notes.
Exactly.
It all makes sense.
Oh dear.
Speaking of houses, we were looking at a graph of our house price, and it's like, it's kind of go up like reasonably, and then it's just like bang.
Really?
It's insane, pure insanity.
You gonna cash out?
Get a big payday? Cash out, where are we gonna go? We're gonna move to Montana.
Van life.
Somewhere. If I move to the middle of nowhere, we could, get a better house.
Starlink.
But if we sold,
get the Starlink thing,
we'd have to go further away to get a better house.
Yeah.
Or we'd move closer with a worse house.
Yeah.
You're now just stuck. You're now just stuck because you can't afford to move anywhere else because it's all going up at the same.
Yeah. The house value thing really is a fallacy unless you have multiple houses. My grandpa always said, it's like your house value you live there. You're not going to just like sell your house, And
the only thing that would make sense is like if we were to have a kid and we wanted to be in a really good school district and we'd have a worse house, but now we can actually afford to live in this very good school district. Whereas before it would be impossible, I guess, in a tiny house. We'll get a tiny house and then we can do that.
Yeah, if everything's going up at the same time, then
everything's going up at the same time.
You want to stay in
those
location.
Really cool tiny houses, though. There
are very cool.
Yeah, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole of like looking up specifically like the tiny house movement, and like especially when they were making them out like shipping containers and stuff. They were really cool.
They were cool.
Yeah,
you just have to make the outside area like really nice, so you can kind of spread out a little bit.
Right.
So it's not just the tiny house.
Yeah.
Sounds cozy and nice.
Van life. Briar were here, he'd be talking about his passion for van life. Fan life passion. Oh man, is there any gaming stuff to talk about this week?
Just pork notes and
pork notes.
I played the Thymesia demo a little bit. I didn't get to play it as much as I wanted to because I wanted to stream it. So I was like waiting, but I've been plagued with ailments. I'm collecting them like Pokemon. It's very fun.
Getting the full set.
Getting a full set, trying to.
Nice.
Maybe the government like pays me at a certain point. Like,
once you hit
sick,
full body ailment, and it's like, well, here's your cash out.
Here's your free cash money. But I played a little bit. It's definitely a steep learning curve, I would say, because it's the way that they do it. It's not just like dodging and hitting someone. You have to use like these kind of claw plague abilities. So when you hit someone, their white health bar goes down and it's replaced by like this green portion of the health bar. And you have to use a special ability to get rid of that green health bar, or the enemy kind of like heals it.
Okay.
So it definitely, it's good in a way because it makes you be aggressive, like you're always trying to hit them and then use the claw attack and then use a plague ability. But man, it's definitely a steep learning curve when you're fighting a boss and you have to know
Yeah.
what the boss does because you have to stay on them. If you back up after hitting them, they're just kind of like heal a lot of it. So I could
Yeah.
see it being cool. I could see it being fun to learn it. It's just about how good those fights are and how fair they feel. Because if you have that kind of mechanic and things don't feel very fair, that's just going to be frustrating.
That was my gripe because I played it as well. Like I didn't get too far either, and I was like looking forward to it because obviously I like these kinds of games anyway. Yeah, I couldn't get on with it. Like I really want to like it, but I only got as far as like the first boss, who probably isn't even like a boss, but like the guy with the broadsword who like they introduce this mechanic to you whereby like when they charge up these special green attacks, you have to interrupt them by throwing like a feather at them. But the timing for that window, I could not reliably do it. Like it would be like the tutorial will say, oh yeah, throw it when you see them charging. So I do that. It's like no. Then it's like throw it when you see them like running towards you. There's such a small window for it that I just couldn't reliably get it, and it was so weirdly frustrating because the move set for that boss is so well telegraphed and it's very obvious and easy. But for some reason, I just couldn't do it. I just kept on dying, and it just got really frustrating.
Yeah, it's I think there's a couple things they could change quite easily to make the game feel significantly better. Like the dodge timing is a bit weird as well. Like it's a little slow. You can't like animation cancel, which would make it feel better as well, considering it's so
Yeah.
fast paced and like in their face. If you could like go for an attack and then dodge out the way, that would make it feel better. And like you said, the timing of the feather thing, it's like there's a green thing that happens on the enemy and then like a line of green. And while that persists, you can do it, but as soon as it goes away, you can't do it. So you're like, oh, I tried to throw a feather, I didn't throw the feather, I guess I could try and parry, and okay, parry timing is impossible. I gave up on that real fast.
Yeah.
It's like a teeny tiny window. It's very tiny. Yeah, so I think there's some things that they could change in it. It could be really good because it's pretty well polished. Like the game looks pretty good. The environments look interesting. But yeah, it's
Do they have a release date for that?
Early August,
So
August
it's coming
9th.
up.
I think so, yeah.
I think I would still try out the full game, but maybe I'd want to play it a little bit before streaming it and really like being like, guys, we're playing this game because I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things they could change just timing wise. Even they just change the window for like the feather attack or the parry or allow animation canceling. Like it would
Yeah,
feel
because there's
a
a
lot
few
better.
things that you go to do organically. Like, I know what you mean about the dodge one. Like, for example, they'll say, oh, one of the best ways to like deal with these combos is you just dodge out of the way. So like, there'll be a part where you do a standard 2-hit combo because it looks like you got the window, and then you go to dodge, but you're still getting hit in the dodge. So it's like you either have to just like literally hit once and dodge out, which just feels weirdly premature. But like dodging where you would normally dodge in something like Elden Ring or a Souls game or other things like that, yeah, it just didn't apply to this one. It's also that weird curse that I mean, it's very different. It would probably be better to be compared to like Bloodborne than it would be Elden Ring. But the unfortunate reality is that everything's gonna get compared to Elden Ring, like it or not. But also, I do feel like that's the wake up call because I think we mentioned in like a previous episode recently where I've loved Elden Ring, but I also feel like because of the crazy amounts of build potential and some of the additional things, I do feel like maybe I cheesed my way through some things. So this is very much back to the whole like, no, you need to get your timing right. No, this boss, otherwise you dead. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I
Like a
think the
hard
dodge
limit.
thing was like the roughest thing for me because not only is can you not cancel out of your attack, but I think there is also a slight delay from when you press the button to when it actually dodges
Oh,
for
interesting.
the iframe part. So yeah. But people are giving lots of really good feedback from the demo, so I don't know, maybe they could change some stuff, but I don't know how difficult it's going to be to change like windows and timings and cancellations and stuff.
This was a small development team, right?
Very small. Yeah. Very, very small team.
Cool. I love seeing stuff like that happening. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out for sure. It is tough though.
Elden Ring ruins everything. It really does. I can't go into an open world game right now. What am I gonna do? Be like, oh well, it's not as exciting as Elden Ring. Going into an indie Souls-like is rough because like, there's lots of incredible indie Souls-likes, but going off of Elden Ring, which is like the Souls game, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
we've been blessed and cursed.
Blessed and cursed.
After you've experienced that 5-star, like 6-course meal.
It's like Destiny and the way shooting feels.
Yeah, it's true. Destiny does ruin a lot of shooters for you. With the way that it actually feels, yeah. Yeah.
It's a weird position to be in because it's like we had such a strong because a lot of games were like pushed out from last year anyway, right? Obviously, the pandemic stuff is still clearly having long-reaching like delays for things anyway because we're seeing more and more games also now get pushed into next year anyway. But like we had a strong start to the year with like a lot of like cool titles from like Pokemon into like Horizon into like Elden Ring. But like it's the combination factor of like Elden Ring was so incredibly massive and incredibly like impactful, and the fact that we're in this weird drought at the moment where like there's nothing coming out that we know of in the short term, and we're also in this weird window where we're approaching the typical E3 window, which obviously people will still do things in, but we do know that E3 in and of itself doesn't exist anymore in the main capacity because obviously they've closed it up. So like, there'll still be things happening, like Xbox announced the Bethesda showcase that's going to happen in the typical E3 window. But yeah, it's just this really weird position where like I find myself at the moment, like I've been playing games since I was a kid. Like gaming is a part of who I am, but like I just haven't played anything since Elden Ring. Like I just don't feel compelled to. And yet there are loads of games that I was like looking forward to or that I wanted to play, and I'm just like I just don't want to play anything right now.
Yeah, it's weird. I have the same thing that's happening. Like I want to go back to Horizon Forbidden West, but it's still too close to the Elden Ring bubble that happened where I'm like thinking, maybe I should just go back and play Elden Ring again. Go through the bubble again. I also played Weird West, and Weird West was really cool. Janky, cool. Like the aiming was kind of weird, and like there's some problems here and there, but like I love the concept of it. I love the art style. I love the generated random maps you end up running into, and like the whole weird zombie story in a Wild West type of thing. There's a loot and all that. On paper, it's like this is totally my jam, but I'm just not interested.
I haven't been back since Elden Ring.
Yeah. It's like why I need to turn this off in my brain so I can get back to regular games.
Yeah. I think. Well, I was just gonna say, I think that's why I think Trek to Yomi is a game that I probably could play because it's like very different to something like Elden Ring. It's like a more linear thing. It's cinematic, and I'm just there to explore and enjoy the cinematic ride. Right. So I think that I could probably play and be cool with, which I haven't played yet. I was hoping to have played, but we'll play tomorrow probably.
I played a little bit.
Yeah.
Same problem.
Really?
You're like, well, this isn't Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh man, it was like well, okay, there's a couple problems. For me, it just didn't jive with the combat. I don't know, like I thought the combat was going to be a lot more interesting for me, but it didn't click. And I don't know, maybe it was because stuff was going on over the weekend or whatever, and like I didn't let it click or something like that. But I did have to fight this notion of how good Ghost of Tsushima was. So I'm thinking about this third person, or like 3D third person combat sim of a samurai, and then I'm also thinking about Simu. Was it Simu? Is that what the name of it?
Sifu.
Sifu, that's what it was. Yeah, not Simu.
Sifu was a great indie game.
Yeah, Sifu had fantastic combat, and it had a really interesting vintage look to it with the way they're coloring and everything. So Trek to Yomi is kind of like hitting a lot of these similar lines, but it just didn't do it for me. And I think it's partially because of the bubble that's so close to these other games that are casting my judgment. I feel bad because it's a really cool, like there's a lot of heart that's been put in that game, but I didn't connect with it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I should be able to play it tomorrow. I know it's pretty short. I think you can finish it in like 5 hours.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's one that I could stick with, even if the combat's like not super interesting. And that's the thing I've heard is that combat gets kind of repetitive.
Oh man, it got repetitive for me very fast. I was like, oh boy.
There is another game that I think could do it. It could do it. There's a game coming out, Salt and Sanctuary.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
Salt and Sanctuary. Yes.
Salt
and Sacrifice was their first game, which I'm surprised more people don't know about it. I mean, a lot of people do know about it. This got like crazy amount of reviews on Steam.
Yeah.
But Salt and Sanctuary comes out tomorrow. And this is made by people who very like religiously follow the Souls kind of formula. Like the RPG elements are very deep. It's even got like multiplayer in the way that the Souls has multiplayer. There's like messages from other players, so you have that kind of community thing as well. There's the character customization is really cool. Combat feels great. Like it was just a very, very good game.
Yeah, I need to play the first one.
Mm.
Just to clarify, with Salt and
Yep.
Sanctuary was the first one, and then Salt and Sacrifice is
All the
coming out
sacrifices.
real soon. But
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah, I need. I remember watching Holtz play it. Actually, he streamed that a little bit. Salt and Sanctuary back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Reviews are coming out today because it comes out tomorrow. And it seems to be
Oh, wow.
reviewing pretty well
Comes
in
out
general.
tomorrow. Oh,
It's out
my
tomorrow.
Goodness.
I know. I like they made an incredible game, and the way that it looks, like it's got this kind of
I love that art style.
I don't know how to explain it. That art style.
It's like modern pixelated, like modern 3D pixelated side scroller type of thing.
Yeah, it's I really do dig it a lot.
Oh.
And it's just the combat just feels so good. Like this, we were talking about Thymesia of how it doesn't give you any room to mess up. It's like you have to hit the parry at this time. You got to hit the feather at this time. There's a little bit more leeway with this game, Salt and Sanctuary.
Okay.
There's a little bit more leeway with parrying it. It just feels super smooth, and combat feels cool. I love it.
Cool.
So I hope that this one also gets a ton of attention.
Nice.
Because the first game was truly fantastic.
Are you gonna play it on your Steam Deck?
It's not on Steam.
Whoa, not on
It seems
Steam.
that they got a deal with the old PlayStation Epic Games.
Of course, Sony
Oh.
coming in, making it.
Being like, we like
Damn.
your game. Here's some money.
Although on the Steam Deck front, I finally got my my shipping confirmation.
Did
I
you
took
really?
Payment the other day.
Ooh.
So mine should. My friend got his one like the other week, and he said that after they took payment, it took about a week to arrive. So I'm guessing I'll probably get it
It's pretty fast.
maybe end of this week or early next week.
Very exciting.
I'm
Which should be kind of cool.
happy for you,
Oh,
dude.
no.
I was so. It's frustrating because I was like literally like 2 minutes before refreshing, and then I was in, and then
Yeah.
it didn't let me like complete it. And then, like, here I am waiting forever. Everybody's getting theirs now. I see everybody on Twitter like, "Oh, I got my Steam Deck. Got my Steam Deck. Got my Steam Deck. Oh yeah,
No.
here's my Steam
Are you
Deck
still?
photo."
Are you listed as Q2 still? Or are you Q3?
It does say Q2.
Okay.
So you should be getting it soon.
That's what I
Yeah, I
keep
think
telling
they're just kind of
myself.
slowly getting through them. Yeah, because yeah, my friend was Q2 and he had his like a few weeks ago. Like slow. Then I finally got my email. So like it just seems to be like slowly trickling through. So
Yeah.
maybe yeah, hopefully soon. But I think the thing is, it's weird. Like it's the same kind of thing again. Like, I mean, it'll be exciting because it'll be new. But okay, cool, new piece of tech, jump into it. But I still feel like at the moment, in the short term, it's gonna be like, well, I'm playing games here. It's still not Elden Ring. I'll go and play Elden Ring on it, and I'll be like,
Play
I'm
Elden
stuck.
Ring on it.
I'm stuck playing. It's so true. I feel like for me, I feel like the Elden Ring like cure in the short term is going to be Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Because obviously when that drops next month, the expansion, like that will be there's the natural enjoyment part of it, but there's obviously the forced part of it, which like it's also going to be my job to cover it, so I'll need
Sure.
to play Monster Hunter. So that will at least be like, well, you better play a game now. You got no choice but to play a game now. So maybe that will inadvertently help shake the Elden blues.
The Elden Blues, yeah.
The Elden Blues.
The Elden
The
Blues
Elden
until they
Blues.
drop an expansion. Be like, oh,
Oh.
boy, here we go again.
They'll either do that or they'll drop like another patch, and then whenever they do the patch, they just like shuffle around a load of weapons and like boost stuff, and it's like, well, now the builds have changed, so now I'm gonna go back in, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
here
right.
we go again. Yeah.
Speaking of Monster Hunter, so what's officially dropping next month? It's like
So yeah, so Sunbreak is releasing next month at the end of June. I feel like I should know the exact date.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
not
it's like
ready.
27th or something.
My,
Yeah.
my PC character is not ready at all.
Oh yes, that is. I need to do a little bit of catching up to like get my PC character ready because I'm obviously like played primarily on Switch, and like the same thing happened in World. Like when World came out on PC, I was like I dabbled in it a little bit, but I was like I just can't be bothered to like grind through because I invest so much time into Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Doing that again, but just from like a pure convenience point of view, like I just find it a lot easier to like record stuff on PC from videos and things like that. Like sometimes there's like trouble with like Elgato software and stuff, so sometimes I'm just like, oh, let me just record PC. So I'm gonna do it for the convenience, but yeah, I'm just like, oh, I've still got to go through some stuff and sort that out. But yeah, June 30th is the date. So basically, that'll be the master rank expansion to Sunbreak. So obviously, Sunbreak was low. Oh, sorry, Rise was low rank and high rank. So much like in World, this will then go push you to master rank, which obviously means new monsters, new weapons, a new location, new town. Um, whole load of new locales. There'll be like new Silkbind moves. So it'll basically be like a lot of what you like before, but more again. That's the typical like G rank structure.
Yeah.
And normally, whenever the master rank stuff comes around, there's like a few new sort of mechanical things that are like unique to that expansion. So there'll be a few like things that will probably they haven't announced that stuff yet, but like they will probably sort of like change things. So you think about how like World had the like the slinger for stuff, but obviously then they evolved that into like clutch claw and stuff like that into Iceborne. So there's like a lot of things like that. So they've got a digital event tomorrow, Capcom's one, where they'll just like be showing off some more of the game. And given that we're now like just over a month from launch, it's probably going to be like one of their last like big pushes. So hopefully we get to see and hear some pretty cool stuff.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully.
Yeah, my plan was to get the Steam Deck and then play Rise on the PC version or the Steam version and get it prepared. I mean, technically, I should technically have it at least on the way to me by the end of June, right? If it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
maybe my plan will work out to play
It may-
Rise expansion on the Steam Deck.
May still be possible. May still be possible.
Yeah, that'd
Fingers
be cool.
crossed.
Fingers crossed, right?
Rise is very fun. Gameplay wise, it is a very fun Monster Hunter.
Mhm.
There just wasn't a ton of stuff to delve into with your time.
Post grind wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely an element of that is present in like previous Monster Hunter games anyway. I mean, maybe not as I feel like it was exacerbated with Rise because there definitely was a lack of stuff to grind, paired with the fact that of course before that you had World and Iceborne, which had like
Yeah.
a ton of stuff. And World and Iceborne also kind of target. They were never a game as a service, but they targeted a slightly more like live service-y kind of model with obviously like rotating things and whatnot. So it at least fed into that more so. So people kind of went in with that expectation. But often you find that the high rank one, like the first one that launches, typically doesn't have that end game stuff because it's not like the end game. So
It's not
this
end
one,
game,
yeah. So this is the one that in theory should fix it, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to work on my character. If I do like one hunt a day,
Yeah.
you know, it'll at least be something.
Easily cover it, right?
Because you can speed up because they added in the Rises equivalent of the Defender armor set, so you can kind of throw that on and you can blitz through a lot of the low rank stuff like super quickly and like realistically, just to at least get Sunbreak ready, all you need to do is just do the mainline key quests, which you can probably do in like 4, 5, 6 hours give or take. Like it's not the actual like story completion isn't too long. Obviously, if you then want to go and like unlock things like Silkbind moves for all the weapons and stuff, there's a bit of fiddling around, but if you were just like, oh, I want to be able to play Sunbreak on PC, you could technically speaking get Sunbreak ready really, really quickly.
Cool.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. If you start doing it now, one a day, one hunt a day, you get there.
There it is. Isn't the same time there's an Outriders expansion coming out?
That's coming up pretty soon, right?
Isn't that end of June as well?
Yeah.
Outriders DLC release date. World Slayer, that's what it's called.
Yeah, World Slayer.
Outriders World Slayer.
Yeah. Oh, also the same date, exact same date.
June 30th.
It's actually the same day. Yeah.
Wow.
Same day.
Wow.
What's the does anyone? I mean, I didn't even touch it when it came out. Like I played Outriders pre-launch for like events, and then just decided that it wasn't for me. But yeah, weirdly, it's weird. Like, I mean, maybe I'm just out of touch these days. But there's a couple of games recently where I've been like, I played it, and I'm like, I'm not liking it. I don't think it's gonna go down too well. And then it comes out, everyone's like, I love this game. Happened with Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Everyone was like, this is my game of the year, and I'm just like, are we playing the same game? Because Outriders, I'm just like, I mean, I'm glad people are enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. Like, by all means, I'm not gonna like rain on people's parade, but I was just like, I don't see it.
Well, it fell off.
I enjoyed my time with it. Like there were certain things like that were like bounties that you could do. Like you'd find a bounty target and you go and hunt them. I loved that. Like that was really cool. And combat could be fun depending on what you're using. But then like the end game stuff of just the whatever they call them. I don't remember what they call them. the end game location where you go and
Mhm.
fight through waves and then you collect the chests at the end. I didn't really enjoy that very much. So
Okay.
then there wasn't really a reason for me to play, and I don't know if I'll pick it up again.
Yeah, I don't plan on playing the expansion for me. I
Yeah.
also enjoyed it when it first came out. I was like, okay, cool, this is different. Like, yeah, and you're right, the combat was good at times, but definitely missed at certain times. Like the
Yeah.
abilities kind of just didn't really feel distinct. But it's like that Destiny problem. Destiny abilities feel very distinct. And so you
Yeah.
go to other games kind of expecting that. Um, but yeah, it's like end game stuff didn't really tick for me. So
Mm.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
fell off of it, you know.
And then, like you said, combat was. I had a lot of fun with the combat sometimes, and then other times I was like, this is kind of annoying. And
Yeah.
the the fights, the arenas and stuff, the way that they built those, I was like, you've got like cover shooter stuff here, but doesn't you don't need to use cover really at all.
Mm.
So it was
Mhm.
a bit weird in places and frustrating in places. Yeah, sometimes it was fun. I enjoyed playing through the story.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Destiny comparisons with like the
Yeah.
advertisements and all that, and people being like, "Oh, here we
Mm.
go, another Destiny killer."
I
Yeah.
think my biggest gripe with it when I played it, because again it's like I never played the full release, so I don't know whether maybe I just played it and then they actually fixed all that stuff. But I remember when I played it, like all the various different like previews and stuff, like it was my main gripe was that there was like no nice feedback to like gameplay. Like when you were shooting, it just felt like I was holding down a trigger. There was no like, oh, I've switched from like a shotgun to a sniper to like, oh, this feels like remarkably different. And even when it was like using abilities, like some of them visually sound or so description wise sounded very cool, but then when I used it, it was like, oh yeah, this like earthquake one like makes the ground crack, and it's just like little piddly line that goes across the ground, goes like boom, and then there was like no actual feedback to it. And I'm just like, these sound cool because I wanted to play as the Devastator, I think that was his name, like
Yeah.
the like tanky guy. But then I played all of them, and a lot of them end up having like moves that were animation wise basically the same, but just like with a fire or a thing on them. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, I just felt like there was no feedback, and whenever I use those moves, I was just like, this just feels a bit rubbish. But maybe they fixed that, and I just didn't play it.
I don't think so. Like, I think it got tuned, but
Uh,
that's what I felt too. I was like, these do not
mm,
feel distinct, or that like that feedback that you talked about wasn't as
mm,
visceral as where you expect from things like Destiny, or I mean even Call of
yeah,
Duty. Like Call of Duty has ways of like making the sounds and
mm,
the visual feedback feel distinct on those. So I think it's an art in and of itself. You know,
yeah.
creating
It
those just
absolutely is.
yeah, those it's like a
Yeah,
effects,
I
but
feel
it's
like.
visual and sound and everything coming together, and the
Mm,
way the
I feel
animations
like that's
play out.
often where like a lot of games do fall short because there've been a lot of games like I mean I can't think of like the names like off the top of my head, but there've been a lot of games where like I've seen trailers and I've like super looked forward to them, and then but as you say, like you have games like Destiny, you have games like Monster Hunter where like in the action genre you really feel the weight of the weapon like
Yeah,
cutting through the monster, or like you have something like in Dark Souls where you'll feel the weight of those weapons, and then you'll go and play like another like indie Soulsborne, and it'll be like it'll have all the components, but then it feels like you're cutting through paper, and I'm just like if I don't have that feedback, like it's just unless you're like the only time I feel like you can get away with that is if you're playing like Diablo or like a Path of Exile and you just want to like lay waste to like umpteen different things. But even that, like it was like night and day difference where like I used to not mind that until I played Lost Ark. And
yeah,
now if ever I play one where I'm just like pressing a button and everything's deleted, I'm like, I don't enjoy this anymore. So
yeah.
yeah, feedback is super important.
Yeah, I mean, and Bungie, like when they brought out Stasis and all the
Mm.
crackling sounds of every ability that it makes, like, goddamn Bungie ruining games for me.
Bungie ruining games.
You and FromSoft need to go away. Well,
Yeah,
don't go away.
I'm
I like the games. But
I'm so behind on Destiny. There's like back I would have yeah I don't even think I experienced stasis, so I
uh,
yeah.
I'm gonna dodge a
just
bullet
the
there.
the sound design is just keeps getting better, if anything. It's ridiculous.
Mm.
Yeah, the sound is on another level with Destiny games. Um, that feedback thing, you're absolutely right though. Elden Ring is another prime example of
Mhm.
something ruining other experiences because it's done
Mhm.
so well,
Mm.
feels so weighted and rooted in the game that
Yeah.
you realize it as soon as it's gone in another game.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did any of you
Uh,
guys see on a random topic change? But did any of you guys see the crazy Unreal Engine 5 station tech demo that this guy created?
yeah.
I did.
It is so for anyone that hasn't seen it, to provide context, basically there's a guy called Lorenzo Drago who is a 3D environment artist. I'm not sure what company, but he's just on his art station. He's listed as a 3D environment artist, and he basically set up with the task of creating something that is as photorealistic as possible. Now, I originally saw this not through his post. I just saw it doing the rounds on social media, and I genuinely it's like he built this Japanese train station. Actually, built a real station in Toyama, Japan. And I
Yeah.
just thought someone was taking it, and he's also like he probably did it intentionally. He also created it in a way where it's filmed vertically, so it looked like it was shot on a smartphone. So I clicked on this video thinking, oh, someone's just gonna like it's just like a smartphone video at a station, like an abandoned station. And then at first, it literally looks like real life. Like you cannot tell. I mean, well, maybe someone that is experienced in that stuff could tell. I couldn't tell. And then the only way you could tell was then when he did this transition where like suddenly it went from day to night like that. I was like, oh, we're not in like we're in a game. And it's like it is absolutely insane. Like he modeled everything, rendered everything, like it's all done, and it's all running in real time in Unreal Engine 5. So
It's crazy. And
mm,
like it just straight up looks like it just looks like a video of a train station
yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So one trick there is that you can hook up a camera data. So like when you're moving a camera around, or like you can have a
Oh.
3D. I forget the exact name of it, but like the type of thing that will track movement in real time. So you can then
Mhm.
create the feeling of holding a camera and put it in real time. So that's part of the thing that's happening with that is like the
Yeah.
actual camera movement feels like he's holding a cell phone,
Yeah.
moving it around, moving the perspective around, which is really cool. And that's what's amazing about Unreal Engine is like you get those high fidelity visuals in real time. So you could actually, so you can use it for real time video production. Like you could have a real person in front of that camera shooting in front of a green screen or a blue screen or whatever, and then have that hyper realistic train station in the back being like put in, like have the camera movements match up exactly real time, and then have the actual video feed shine light onto the actor to give them the feeling of like being hit by that, or actually have the video behind the actor. Like that's another aspect of it.
Crazy. It's crazy. I don't know if I want to play a game that looks like that.
Well, it's funny because when it was
Definitely
doing the
not a
rounds-
horror game.
That's my worry because when the video started to play, I did the kind of thing where like it looked like relatively normal. Then when it went like super dark and there was some like eerie music, I was like, "There's gonna be a jump scare here." So I did that thing where like I stood back from the screen, just like, I don't want to see this right now.
Yeah.
And then it never came. But it's like, yeah, if that was in a horror game, I'm like, that's
It just
an
looks
old
like
thing.
real life.
It makes me so excited for the future.
It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you look at the potential, but it's also like you kind of ask the question like, would you want to play a video game that is like if they get to the point where there is, I mean, obviously you would want it from just like an experience to be like, oh, I've played this thing and I couldn't tell it's real, but like in actuality, like if people can like do that stuff and then you think about it in terms of like, oh, let's apply this to like the next generation of games for like all games, like would you want your games to look photorealistic to the point that you're just like, I can't tell? Or would you miss? I don't expect people to be like, it wouldn't be like a one and done. It wouldn't be like it's either photorealistic or nothing else. So obviously, you still have your other stuff. But like for me, like I like it when games look really, really cool. But it's also just like I feel like if you chase photorealism too much, would you then be potentially losing some of the charm that you get from like because you could take photorealism but apply it in like a world like Horizon, but then because it's still in a very thematically non-realistic world, you instantly know it's not real. Right, so I'm like, if people really chase photorealism, like, would it even be exciting to play the game? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I think your brain gets a little scared when things are like real but not real. I think you feel a bit uneasy. So I don't know.
I think it's heavily genre dependent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want to see highly detailed guts spilling out of someone. Like
No,
I'm not
definitely not.
I'm not into that,
Like I don't want to shoot people anymore because it's literally just looks
Yeah, I'd
like
be
I'm
like-
shooting someone in the head.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that would be very traumatizing if it was that detailed.
It would be.
Yeah, exactly.
On
Yeah.
the other side of it, though, if it was some sort of fantasy world where you're unlocking puzzles and stuff, and there was a hyper realism to it,
Mm-hmm.
that would be really cool. Like some Zen garden where you're, doing Jedi tricks or something. Like
Yeah, true.
awesome. I like that. But yeah, when it's really disturbing stuff that's also hyper realistic and detailed that could then feel like reality.
Yeah.
I think that's where the line crosses, and then it's like that's
Yeah,
not a
like
good
I'd never
idea.
want to play. Yeah, like I'd never want to play like a photorealistic Call of Duty, for example, and like shoot people. Like, no,
With
thank you. Or like a
with
photorealistic Hitman.
with like organ
Like,
tissue
yeah,
rendering techniques.
exactly, right? Or yeah, or
Yeah.
like Hitman, like another episode. I don't want to go like photorealistic, go and like stranglehold someone and put them in like a dumpster or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, no, thank you. Like, I feel bad enough when I play Hitman and I
Yeah.
take people out and I throw them in a dump truck, and they are quite clearly a video game. If that was photorealistic, I would feel very bad.
What was the
But
Sniper Elite?
yeah.
Sniper Elite, like you know, they
Oh,
give you like the
yeah.
X-ray visualization of the bullet going through the body and all that. I mean, that
I
made me squirmish, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I need to see
I had
that all the time.
I had a this is like years ago, but I think it's relevant to this one because it kind of like links into like the weird experience. But like I did for like when one of the previous Sniper Elite games came out, they took us like a press event where we went to like the shooting range where you can use like different rifles and stuff, and they let us use. But then they took us to the end. There was like this really expensive sniper rifle, and they were like, you can only shoot one bullet because the bullets are super expensive. And they set up silicon skulls at the end of the thing with a slow motion camera, and then luckily I'd never shot before, and I managed to get a shot straight between the head, right? But then afterwards they show it to you in slow motion about how the bullet enters and then like leaves the head and stuff. And then when I went to leave the event, they were like, "Oh, here's a thing." And I was like, "What is it?" I opened the bag and they gave me the silicone head with like a bullet hole in the back. I'm like, what do I want to do with this? I took it home. And then when I came home, I showed the family and I was like, "Can I put this in the bin?" And then the next day, the dustbin men came round. And like, I hope they didn't go and look in the bin because they'd be like, "Why is there a head in the bin with a bullet hole in?" Like that's we're pushing the line of like this feels quite uncomfortable now.
See, I would only accept photorealism in Weed Shop 3,
Weed shop?
where you run a weed shop. You grow weed and you sell weed.
The
and
cannabis
that's what you do.
cannabis empire?
Yeah, you grow weed and you sell it, and that's
Huh.
the game.
Yeah.
I'd probably get pretty addicted to it. Actually, I love those games. Those
Yeah.
like sim
You know what?
management games.
True. Yeah, or like a photorealistic Stardew Valley where you can literally run your own farm.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
As long
you
as
go.
we're not killing any animals. That's
No.
too far. Too far.
Wait, no.
You can
weed-
photorealistic
so
like
it's-
milk the cows
Okay.
and then go and sell it.
Ooh.
Maybe that's a bit weird.
Photorealistic.
Maybe
Photorealistic birthing of the animals?
See, this is what I mean. We're uncovering all these things. Where this would also be quite weird. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
some
that's a bit
strange
weird.
fine lines that get crossed as soon as the photorealism really kicks in. You're like, oh,
Mm,
maybe let's not show that in a video game. Let's stick to impressions.
yeah.
Yeah, it's strange because there's like this fantasy thing that happens with pixelated art or like art that just implies what's happening. That your brain gets to play 50% of the thing that's happening. Like your brain gets to fill in the blanks, which is really satisfying with like retro style games. But then there is this other element of photorealism that can kind of create this. It's like a new art form almost that's emerging.
Mm.
Because you're
True.
going to have these photorealistic games, but then also elements that are completely unrealistic in a photorealistic game. And it's gonna make these new kind of genres in a way.
Yeah, I like the way you described it before. Where you like, it'd be cool if you played it like in a fantasy setting and like you were like solving puzzles and stuff, and like because you think about like some of the elements were, I mean, it's not photorealistic, but when you think about, say, when we saw like one of the first trailers for like Final Fantasy Versus 13, remember like way back when it was like Noctis and like you saw his face and like, okay,
Yeah.
clearly it still wasn't like photorealistic, but that was like, yo, that was incredible. It was like,
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, if you were in the fantasy setting and then like you walked into like the equivalent of Midgar or like something like crazy, but it just looks so like insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I would definitely be appealing. But yeah, I know what you mean. There'd have to be that weird, and I don't even know how you would do it, because there would have to be that weird line where it'd be like, this is the line we don't cross. Like we will do the fantasy stuff, but then there would be one studio that would be like, I want to push photorealistic warfare, and it's like.
If you wanna-
you know.
If you want to rip the horn off and decapitate that demon, do it. Actually,
Exactly.
I guess Doom Eternal is already along those lines.
True.
Yeah.
But you know how the press love to give gamers a bad name anyway. They're like, oh yeah, the reason this bad thing happened is because these guys play video games. But if it weren't photorealistic, they would then be like, now we're definitely blaming you. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, definitely would. But that's what I was saying. Like, You know, in Elden Ring, when you go down the elevator, the very long elevator, the first
Yeah.
time, if that was photorealistic, of course, it's like it
Mm.
doesn't exist in real life, so you'd
Yeah.
have to figure out what that looks like. But something like that would be
Mm.
beautiful and really cool to see,
Mm-hmm.
with it being more realistic.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it does separate it in your mind of like, this isn't real. So maybe your brain doesn't
course.
go, oh, panic.
Yeah. Some psychotic break occurs from watching
Yeah.
video game realism occur. Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a new like you said, maybe it'll birth new genres. Maybe the new genre will be like playing photorealistic like nature documentaries. It'll be like Jurassic Park. I'll walk around and like basically just be like I'll become like the ultimate casual gamer where I'll just go and do like safari games where I just walk through fields and I'm like they look real. Like I can't I can't fly to Japan right now. So here is Japan photorealism and I'm just gonna go explore.
You know,
Yeah, give me a photorealistic me riding trains.
yeah.
In various countries. You know, get on the train, get off the train. Woo, so nice.
Exactly.
I'm actually experimenting with the idea of combining like Unreal Engine stuff with music stuff for our music channel that we do, because I like the idea of being able to intermix multimedia and all that. Like we're already doing a certain visual style with the cameras, so it'd be really cool to incorporate Unreal Engine elements, because then you can, through code you can link it up to have elements happen through frequency response, for the sound and all that. So I'm like, I'm currently like investigating stuff like that to
That would
deal
be
with
super
Unreal Engine.
cool.
So I think it's
Almost
really,
like a
yeah.
I say almost like a visual, because you like I forget the term for it, but like when that music plays and you have the lines that will like
visualizers, right?
the visualizing, but almost like a video game visual. Like if you take that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's see two sides of it, of like of making the video side, it's where you have very specific things like, it's imitating cinematic type of stuff, but then also you could create experiences, like audio / visual experiences that aren't, it's like new genre in a way, where it's not specifically a video game where you're trying to achieve whatever ultimate ending and build a character or whatever, but like it's just an experience. Like you said, you want to ride a train in Japan.
Yeah.
Because it's an experience.
Like, I do want to do that.
I think that's coming. And with Unreal Engine 5 being more open and able to give small studios or like single person development teams the ability to create photorealism, like that's coming. That future.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the videos on YouTube of like walking around Shibuya in the rain for 5 hours, and people love those videos. I mean, a lot of people fall asleep to them, but there's just something about experiencing, and that's actually like with Ghostwire Tokyo. A lot of people didn't love the combat and stuff like that, but people gave it a pretty high score based on how well they recreated Tokyo. Because it was so enjoyable to walk around and felt really authentic. So there's definitely a market for that stuff.
Well, I think it's also an emerging market. Like this is something new that people are then gonna be like, oh, I didn't realize I want this in my life. Like a digital experience that they can load up and then walk around and experience just that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's stuff out there already, obviously. But like with Unreal Engine 5 technology making it so easy for people to import assets that are highly detailed and make photorealism happen, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone has ever created themselves in Unreal Engine, photorealistic, and then tried to take a photo of that to submit it for a passport photo?
It's the first for everything.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
That person's going to credit this podcast later in life for listening and think about that idea.
Like, that's how I got away. Spin up. Yeah. Maybe that could be the ultimate lazy mode though. They'd be like, I can't bother to go to the passport office, so I'm going to render myself in game, take a screenshot, submit it. Oh dear.
Space Trip brings up Hellblade too. That's pretty damn realistic from all the stuff we've seen of that, and that's a spooky, creepy world.
Yeah. Relatively small team too. Relatively, yeah.
Yeah, those guys are great.
Cool. Well, anything else to dive into this week?
There hasn't really been a great deal, to be honest. It's like, we're kind of in that limbo period. Like last week, obviously, Xbox announced that they have the Xbox Bethesda showcase on June 10th. So that'll obviously be our like one of our currently our only like E3 date to put on the calendar. Again, I imagine people will flock around that period of time, but that will be quite interesting because they again, I mean specifically called like Xbox Bethesda because they own them and whatnot. So that hopefully means we'll see Starfield because Starfield is currently
Oh,
still supposed to be this
apparently.
year. Yeah, there was a
Apparently.
leak
11th, right? November 11th.
yeah, there was a leak last week from someone that used to work at the studio. It wasn't like a disgruntled employee. I think he just left just to do other stuff anyway. But spoke about like they obviously didn't like say too much, but like mentioned that he did say that the engine is a piece of crap, which is kind of worrying. And said that flying was not feeling too great, but said the shooting was good, that the game looks really nice, and that they're like playtesting it frequently, and they're definitely very much aiming to launch this year. Apparently, there's a demo or like a beta coming over summer, and that'll obviously be the real test. I mean, obviously, keep in mind this was like a pinch of salt. It might not, this is a guy that on Reddit was like, I work for so and so, but apparently it checked it was like somewhat credible anyway. So that'll be interesting. But regardless, like Xbox Bethesda will be an interesting thing to see because
Definitely, yeah.
hopefully, I mean, like Starfield will obviously be a big marquee thing. Maybe we'll see more from like Hellblade and stuff. So it'll definitely be cool to see what happens at the time. And I'm definitely also interested to see like who else like respects that window and tries to like build around it, or whether companies just gonna be like, well, now there's no E3, we're just gonna do our own thing. Because wasn't it like last year in that window? I don't think Sony did anything until like much later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sony's like, we can do whatever. We're Sony, so
yeah.
They just launch a Twitch channel, go live on Twitch, and suddenly like 500,000 people are like, "What are you doing?" Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
They really need.
Has anyone seen Doctor Strange? We're gonna go see Doctor Strange.
I have not yet. I would like to see it. Yeah, I haven't been to
seen it yet.
much recently, but
so I've been avoiding movie theaters because
they
don't require masks anymore, and it's a very small, very close inside,
packed in,
people eating, people spitting
Laughing.
everywhere, probably. But Tomo's team at Bungie is renting out a theater for their team. So it's still going to be like some people there, of course, but you can sit with distance between people. Bungie in general, like still requires masks and all of that stuff. So people should hopefully be following some rules. So I feel much more comfortable being separate from people far away.
Nice.
And
that's cool. When's that happening?
So today.
You're seeing it. Awesome.
Today.
Fancy.
Yeah, I'm excited. Fun. I love Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange's cool.
You should just be like, well, while you've rented the cinema, what are the other movies that I've missed? Let's watch them all back to back. Can we have a whole day?
Yeah.
What if we just don't leave?
Exactly. I finally saw Batman the other day because that was like streaming at home.
Oh, Shane Breyer's not here for some Batman talk.
What'd you think?
I really liked it, actually. Yeah, like, I know a lot of people sort of said like it dragged on a lot, but like I really enjoyed it. I think it was quite cool how I actually especially liked how they like this one lent heavily into the sort of like he is like greatest detective, right? And there were a lot of like actual detective parts, whereas I feel like that in a lot of other Batman films are quite overlooked. It's just like action. Whereas like the whole sort of scanning the crime scene and like going back and replay the data and stuff. I like what they did. I thought he was like a really good Batman.
Yeah.
And then I watched the deleted scene afterwards as well, which was quite exciting.
Oh, the Joker one, yeah.
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 Well, Breyer loves it.
Breyer had like a complete opposite reaction. He was like, "This is trash."
He was like, "This is the worst movie." He didn't just say like, "Oh, it was okay. It wasn't really my thing." It was like, "This is terrible, right?"
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
"Terrible Batman, terrible." Terrible.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I was like, dude, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Pattinson is like, take it or leave it type of thing, but the style and the I really appreciated that they made Batman feel like he was the boogeyman to actual villains and stuff.
That was super cool.
Wasn't that awesome?
That
was
at
badass.
the beginning, just that part, that was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, oh, these bad guys doing bad stuff, and then they see the sign, they're like, oh, is he coming? Is he going to be in the shadows next to me?
Oh.
Right?
That was so cool.
Yeah, it was great. I really appreciate it. I appreciated that it was like a dark, grimy, felt like, this actually ties back to this realism discussion. It's like, what if a comic book realism happen. I felt like they did that with the Batman. You know, like a lot of those overhead shots, those feel like comic book frames of like an overhead looking at what's happening. Thought it was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed the cinematography on it, and like again, Batman is always kind of cheesy, you know, so you kind of have to accept the fact that you're watching like a cheesy comic book, but that's made into this, you know, serious situation. So once you get past that, I think they did a great job.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. And to top off the movie discussion, I finally saw Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh,
I need to see
I
that.
rented that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
love
what I
that
was going to
cast
do.
that they have of Spider-Man now. Like, I think they're all just great.
It was so cool. They tied it together. They're like, wait, you're, huh? What? Another, oh my
Yeah.
God. It was, yeah. That was so cool.
It was
I would
a
have
really
loved to
fun
see that in the
movie.
theater. That would have been fun.
That was fun. That was the one time I will accept people going, "Oh my God!" in the movie theater. There's times in the movie theater where I appreciate other people around me getting hyped about something that they see.
Totally.
As
That's
long as
fun.
you chill on the hype after the hype is over.
Yeah.
You know, you be excited and then you're quiet. Thank you.
I also finally saw Dune as well. That was good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That it's funny because I obviously like I know now that like it was a thing like well before this new movie, but like I went into it knowing nothing about it, so I kind of went into it assuming a self-contained experience that will have a
Oh.
beginning and an end, and then suddenly got to the end, I was like, oh, it's a cliffhanger. Now I'm gotta wait for the next film, and it's probably gonna be years. I'm like, oh, I just wanted
Yeah.
I wanted to know what happens. So, but that was good as well. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that is that's SideQuest.
That's
That's it.
SideQuest complete.
We figured out all the games that we're not playing right now.
Exactly.
I will. So I'm going to play Trek. I'm going to start Trek to Yomi tomorrow. Should
Okay.
finish it pretty quickly because it's like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to jump into Salt and Sacrifice. Not Sanctuary.
Nice.
I played that already.
Nice.
Salt and
I'm going to check that
Sacrifice.
out.
Check it out. It's really good. It's such a good game. It just hits all the good happy things that you want from those kind of games. You make your character and you're like, oh, it looks cool. And then you get new armor. You're like, oh, this is new armor. You level up, and
Nice.
it's pretty deep RPG stuff, especially for such a small indie game.
Yeah. Kind of like
Really good.
Elden Ring, deep RPG, like Elden Ring.
Yeah. There are builds. You can do builds.
Very cool. We'll definitely be checking out. All right, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. Shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs for supporting the shows on DCP. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for being here.
Bye, everyone.
We'll see you
See
on
you later.
Thursday and next week.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.